We're starting with a very simple staging with the musicians on stage, and then it grows through the storytelling, through these very distinct different parts. It becomes like an illuminated medieval manuscript in the middle section with those vivid lapis lazuli blue skies and those beautiful costumes and the sort of greensward, if you like. So the middle section will look a bit like an illuminated manuscript from the Très Riche of the Duke of Berry, one of those gorgeous, gorgeous medieval pictures, illuminations. Whereas when you get to the third part, to the Morte D'Arthur itself and the final battle, it becomes more like watching a Shakespeare history play. It becomes more like watching Henry VI Part 3. And there's blood and there's mud and there's gore. So each part is, in a way, has its own specific look, one growing out, I hope, of the other. The major, from my point of view, the major contribution in terms of the preparation really has been, of course, Mike Poulton. Mike and I did the Canterbury Tales together, but also the York Millennium Mystery Cycle in the York Minster in 2000. And Mike is very familiar with taking a huge epic and squeezing it to the 3 hours traffic of the stage, if you like. And so we've worked together long and hard on trying to make this prose epic into a piece of theatre. Alongside that, I've asked Adrian Lee to work with me again. We did a production of Macbeth together, Antony and Cleopatra, and of course he did the music for the Canterbury Tales too. And what I love about Adrian is he manages to create a real sense of a medieval sound with traditional instruments and then something very wild and wacky thrown in there too. And he's using Joji Hirota, who is a Japanese drummer who worked with us on Macbeth in 1999-2000. And also, I've, alongside Katrina Lindsay and Tim Mitchell, who are doing the set and costume design and the lighting design, who are crucial to this process, I've also invited Steve Tiplady, the puppeteer, who is a brilliant exponent of shadow puppetry, to see if he can help us solve some of the magic and the mystery in the piece. And Steve and I worked together on Venus and Adonis with the Little Angel Theatre. So it's a great group of a great creative team. I feel myself out of my comfort zone a bit because I generally tend to work on plays with texts that have been proven, if you like. So it's developing all sorts of elements of physical theatre that this particular ensemble are very highly qualified in. So for me it's been a very extraordinary and creative journey so far, anyway. Mike Poulton's used Mallory's text, but he's been very clever at creating a dialogue that is very speakable, which sounds as though it is medieval without being densely, Middle English or something. There's a limited currency to the use of words that we don't necessarily understand, and yet they can also create a sense of historical resonance, if you like. So when somebody says that something is, sooth and sarlic, I think that's great. I love the word sarlic. Can't quite remember what it means, but it sounds great. And there are a number of words like that are threaded through. So you are reminded that this is an epic that's been at the centre of our culture for 500 years, and it's right that we should use the language of that. So there's a great, very accessible, the language, but it has a great sense of, dignity and weight, and it befell in the days of Uther Pendragon that, it's just got a great roll to it. Mallory wrote the Morte D'Arthur when he was in prison for rape. Rape might mean, in the 15th century terms, actually just having an affair with a married woman. he writes it in a very adult way. It isn't a kid's version of King Arthur. So there is violence in it, and there is sex in it. And sometimes, the various heads get chopped off. There's probably the odd bare buttock. But what I would say to somebody deciding whether this was going to be suitable for their teenage kids, for instance, or indeed even perhaps younger than that, I would say, this is a great piece of literature, an astonishing epic, which has been absolutely at the centre of our culture for half a millennia. And therefore, at the risk of exposing your family to the odd bit of naughtiness here and there, I would risk exposing them to this extraordinary story.